Hey guys, just cleaning up some stuff from the weekend here. Wanted to shoot this video quick to try to tell you what's going to be in this video. It's not a whole lot of great footage. It's going to be a lot of hard cuts, just random things. I had two of my buddies up this weekend, trying to fill both their buck tags. Kept having lots of pictures of these two different real mature bucks and then another two that were pretty decent, but it just not very good weather on Wednesday, and then today it was actually a beautiful day today, but for whatever reason the deer just weren't moving at all. So we did see deer Wednesday. I got them on film. Got some nice shots at other things, but just didn't get the kill. And then my head just really wasn't in it today. Like my buddies went with me, and we did a track. I was very confident that we were going to find it. The hunter sounded like it was a liver shot. The deer was very close, and he shot it from the ground with the recurve longbow, and he only tracked it for about 20 yards, and then it was raining real hard. He thought it was a little bit farther back, didn't want to push the deer, so we just called the dog to be sure. And I was confident we were going to find it, and of course, because I was in a rush and had other things going on, I forgot my GoPro at home. So I was trying to film it from my iPhone, bits and pieces. But the deer really didn't go that far. It was probably 150, maybe 200 yards at most. It was good. It was a good recovery for timber. But it was a good weekend. Had lots of fun with my buddies. They got to experience the dog tracking and recovery, and they got to see they even said how exciting it was recovering the deer and watching the hunters high five and celebrate with each other, because the hunter actually had two of his buddies with him. So the hunter and his two buddies, and the tracker with his two buddies, so there was a gang of 6 of us and the dog in the woods celebrating over this deer. So it was definitely a fun recovery. Sadly we couldn't get a buck, or hoping for 2 bucks, but at least one on film would have been nice this weekend. But I am hopefully sometime soon, as long as the schedule lines up, I'm going to be getting my wife down in there in my little honey hole. We did see a couple new scrapes down there too. But also wanted to touch base real quick on deer tracking. Like, I got a text today from a guy that we tracked for about a week and a half ago, and he I don't know, this was a crazy track. He shot it and ran down through the cornfield, and we tracked it down through the woods a ways, and I found several spots of blood, pointed it out. It was this hunter, his dad, and I think his buddy. And I know his dad seen the blood, and I assumed that the hunter, the guy that shot the deer, was looking at the blood too. But we tracked it up to the cornfield, and back to the cornfield, right by the tree stand, which is common, especially on deer that live longer than what you'd think they would. They end up circling back right to where they were shot. But the deer ran down the right side of the cornfield originally, and we came up on the left side and started tracking down that side. And we got like 50 yards down there, and my dog started pulling me back to the right into the corn. So I assumed, I knew the deer, where he originally ran through, couldn't have been farther than 50 yards from where we were at. And he kept dragging me into the corn, but to me it just didn't make much sense, so I kept dragging them out and restarting them, and we did that 2 or 3 times until Timber finally went down and made a left and went back down into the woods. We followed that, and I kept finding like a weird substance that looked like blood, but it was like different. And I don't know, so I called it quits that day and came back the next day. Well, he just texted me today and said that he found that deer about 100 yards from the last blood that they originally had in the cornfield. And he started dissing my dog, saying that, maybe he needs more training. He felt like he got ripped off because that deer never left the cornfield, this and that. And I said, well, what about the blood that we had down in the woods? And he said, well, I never actually seen the deer. I just trusted what you and my dad were saying. But that deer definitely didn't leave the cornfield. And I'm not saying, I don't know. Dogs, they're, can't say that they're human too, but, just like humans, they make mistakes just like we do. So maybe he made a mistake. Maybe the deer did run back up into that cornfield because, like I said, we had the blood down in the woods. And it was hard proof evidence. So maybe my dog was right and he ran back into the cornfield where he was pulling me. And I should know better. I've done this long enough, but if you ask any tracker, as long as they're not going to lie to you, they'll admit that we make mistakes as handlers all the time. There's always going to be one or two every year that get away from you. I was actually, it's kind of frustrating, especially the way he had to talk to me about my dog. It is frustrating because a lot of time and hard work goes into this. But at least I know for next time, like, it's just a reminder to trust your dog. We don't know anything. We can think what we want to think, but the dog knows more than we do. So you just have to trust your dog, and that's a prime example of why. And I have a feeling that I should have, and we probably would have found the deer that morning, and I wouldn't have had to come back the next day. But there's also the possibility that my dog, that the deer had lived and ran farther, where we did track them the next morning. And, he could have lived for 2 or 3 more days, and then, maybe he wasn't getting around so well, and the coyotes chased him down and killed him. It just so happened to be in the middle of the cornfield. Or maybe he was sick and just wanted to go eat and ended up dying in the middle of the cornfield. There's just so many things that could have played into factor. So just because you call a dog doesn't mean that it's 100% guaranteed that you're going to find your deer dead or alive. Like, there's just so many things that come into play. Just like I think we've had 2 so far this year, where we came into property line issues and couldn't cross. So right there's 2 deer that we couldn't find. Not because, the deer might have lived or it might have died, but we have no idea of telling for sure because we weren't allowed to cross the property lines. And that right there brings down my success rate, timber success rate, just over little things like that. Let alone whether the hunter messed up the trail or the dog made a mistake that day or I made a mistake that day. Maybe the shot was just terrible and the deer ends up living. There's all kinds of things that play into factor as to whether you get the deer or not. So it's getting a dog is still a way better option than grid searching. And anybody that's used a dog and had success, or anybody that owns a dog and that tracks with a dog, will, they'll all say the same thing. I think they say the average success rate of dog tracking is like 35%, something like that, which doesn't sound that great, but those are pretty good odds because you're not getting set on the easy trails. Nobody's calling you because they know they double lunged one and they have solid blood the whole way, and they're just like, I don't feel like tracking it, so I'm going to call a dog. Like, people just don't do that, at least not around here. So, these are already hard trails, and we are people's last hope. Which that might have been a better name for my YouTube channel now that I think about it. Last Hope, that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And there's some hidden humor in there if you pick up on it. But thank you guys for watching. And thank you for putting up with me talking this long.
Here, little fella. I just want to get some pictures of you. You come back to my place, have some drinks, watch a movie. I'll pay you. I just want to get some pictures. So we're kind of waiting here on the hunter, but we went about 100 yards and we're finding some good blood here. So it looks like he finally opened back up again. So we're gonna sit here and wait on the hunter, let them catch up, because I don't know, we usually track pretty fast. Timber's always rearing and ready to go. So hopefully the deer's not too much farther. The tracker only went about 20 yards, or the hunter only went about 20 yards yesterday. But they're coming back up, so. Come here. Here, come on. I knew you knew it was close. You knew it was close, didn't you? Huh? You knew him. You knew it. Looks like the coyotes found him first. Good boy. Good boy, Timber. Good boy.
Super nice.
Beautiful.
They look bigger on the ground.
That's all right. He's good. He had a good one. Boy, he was dead for a while, huh?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
After day 2 comes to an end, we're reminded how hard whitetail hunting can be. Even over an abundance of acorns, nothing is certain, but the stories and the memories made with friends are irreplaceable, and the reason that we keep going out to these mountains that we adore. Getting some pizza.
Some pizza.
Well, boys, you have anything to say for yourselves?
Just suck it.